and welcome to the Food for Data interview series. In today's mini interview, we're sitting down with Crystal, who is the VP of Data and Analytics at Wild Alaskan Company, to discuss how data and insights are a key part in driving the business objectives to be mission-driven. So welcome, Crystal.
Thank you.
So let's set the scene for our audience today. Could you give an introduction about the Wild Alaskan Company and why it is a mission-driven company?
Yeah, absolutely. So Wild Alaskan Company, it's a DTC, direct-to-consumer company operating in the US for now, and is in the business of delivering frozen, wild-caught, and sustainable seafood to customers' doorsteps. The mission of the company is to accelerate humanity's transition to sustainable food systems. And one of the ways that we do this is by providing consumers an easy way to get seafood that is sustainably caught at the with the highest level of care and flash frozen at the peak of freshness to get it to your doorstep. One thing that's interesting about the US in terms of seafood consumption is that Americans buy a lot of seafood, and a lot of it actually comes from overseas, even though Alaska and the US is one of the gold standards in the world in terms of producing sustainable seafood, which means that the catch is much under what is necessary to make sure that stocks of fish and other seafood populations stay healthy for a long time to come. And what Americans really don't know is that America really is, especially Alaska, is really good at producing this kind of seafood. And other countries who perhaps are more used to demanding higher quality seafood and healthier foods tend to purchase that inventory away from the US, while the US imports cheaper inventory from other countries. And therefore, what you see in your grocery store is it's very hard to pick out what is going to be sustainably caught, healthy for you, rather than things where you don't know where they're coming from, potentially farmed with other harmful additives, things like that. So yeah, we're trying to provide consumers with a place to get their wild-caught seafood, kind of trying to be your digital fishmonger.
Yeah.
In a way. Yeah.
No, it sounds like you've got a good thing going on over there. And I suppose a key part to be mission-driven is understanding your customers, of course. So how do you use data to understand your target audience, and how do you encourage them to be healthier and use Wild Alaskan?
Absolutely, yeah. So as I mentioned, we're a DTC company, and luckily, being that way, we have a direct line to our members. And we're able to do a lot to create and control a great customer experience in many aspects, including, for instance, our website, our product quality, our other messaging. We put out a lot of recipes as well, specifically tailoring to wild-caught seafood, since the makeup of wild-caught seafood is a little different from farmed. So one way we do this, for instance, we collect first-party data from our customers to learn more about why they chose Wild Alaskan and what their specific needs are. One way we do this is through a member survey. We ask both demographic and more company-specific questions, like how comfortable are you cooking wild-caught seafood? Are you a beginner? Are you, a home chef, an expert? And things like how many people in your household eat seafood a week. We use this information as well as information that we have from their order history, behavior on the website, things like that, in order to send them the most relevant recipes, the most relevant seafood content, especially for their current cooking level and like what assortment they're ordering. We also link up their answers that they give us to their LTV and their spending patterns and other behavioral data. And this helps us understand the overall population of our database. We pretty much have members all over the US, very similar to the overall population map of the US. And so it helps us understand, do certain behaviors drive LTV more than others, and do some aspects or behaviors also help us retain customers for longer?
That makes sense. And I suppose, do you come up with any challenges in the data space when trying to support the business decisions as well?
Yeah, challenges every day, I think, but I think we're very lucky in our organization. Data is a core part of the company's identity, and data is relied upon by all of our departments and all of our employees. So we're always posed with new questions that teams just want a little bit more insight into, which I love, which is fantastic. And a lot of times in those, we would need to maybe integrate a new source of external data to our database, or we would need to create a new model to be able to understand a certain behavior in order to really generate those insights. So I think the challenge, the continual challenge that we have is thinking about like, what is the optimal plan for data governance, and how do we balance how much work the analytics team is putting in to something versus could we put into place the right systems and schemas so that we can share through our BI tools the data set, and the whole organization can then participate in their areas in current and future analyses, and they can probably do that independently of needing someone from the analytics team to help out. So I think that's something we think about a lot every time we get like a new request in. How does this fit into our current data governance scheme? Is this a one-off, or is this something we want to create a tool for to allow other people to use? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And you mentioned the survey that you do at Wild Alaskan. I know we had a conversation a bit ago about, how well that's done and how it's improved. And I think you mentioned it went from 3% up to around 40%. Am I right in thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Which I suppose is a lot of data to work with there. Have you seen any improvements at Wild Alaskan from this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're lucky enough to have a very loyal member base. And that's, I think, thanks to our amazing product as well as our amazing customer service team. And so we found that trying different methods, if we're able to catch our members in a space that's right for them to give us the feedback. So for instance, we had this survey embedded in an email, and then we switched and we tried popping it up at the end of new members' first purchase. And it's optional, it's totally optional, but it's just there in case they would like to give us the information.
Yeah.
Additionally, we keep like adjusting our questions to what's actually helpful for them, what's helpful for us, what's actionable. So if we found that if we catch them in the right mind space, they're actually really willing to give us the data and happy to do so. So getting quite a large participation rate is super helpful in that we know that our sample size is quite representative of the entire membership base. For sure, 40% is well above the minimum that you need to kind of get an idea. So it gives us the confidence to go ahead and use those insights to drive business decisions, which I think is super helpful. And most people are really willing to give some personal data over in order to receive on the other end more personalized experience from any given brand, right? Especially a brand that you trust. So the more that we're able to use that data and then create new experiences, both in our product and our digital product, our website and membership portal, the more people are willing to then participate again, engage, give us their thoughts on the seafood they're receiving, things like that. And then I think it's a great exchange. of giving us the information we can use to then make a better experience for them.
Yeah, 100%. And I suppose with this in mind, and the improvements that are happening at Wild Alaskan, what does the future look like? What does the future look like when it comes to using data and insights to continue achieving the company's mission-driven objectives?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're always looking to continue to modernize and enhance our data stack and our tech stack across many different um, departments. So for sure, our next step is to continue to evaluate, um, for instance, how we can bring in more segmentation and more predictive analytics into what we're doing, as well as how can we build in new features to our website in order to serve people up. We have tons of great content so how to serve up the right content to the right member at the right time. That's uh, personalized for them.
Yeah.
And then I think overall, in terms of continuing to increase the company's reach, we continue to think about the overall customer journey, perhaps even outside of just DTC, and then how as well we can reach more different households in the US. So for instance, maybe some people are interested in health. Some people are interested in more of the sustainability aspect. Some people are interested in the taste, right? How do we make sure that we're kind of meeting people where they are? And then I think the last part of that is thinking more about vertical integration and owning, expanding business lines. And so having more, continuing to have more oversight over the entire process to ensure that, back to our mission, it's getting people sustainable seafood in a way that works for them.
Definitely, definitely. No, I think we've got some really good insight into what you're doing at Wild Alaskan, and to any of the audience that are watching today, go check them out. They're a great company. So yeah, thank you for joining us today, Crystal. It's been great to have you on the Food for Data series.
Thank you very much.